Hi, scrappy friends. Iris here with a process video for simple stories using the absolutely gorgeous I Am collection. And for this, I am scrapping about myself. That's a photo I took during a day in the life, and I really loved it. And I didn't want to crop it down to just my face either. But I did print it out slightly smaller than 4 by 6. I've been going with around 3.5 by 5 or 3.5 by 4 on a lot of my photos lately because I want something that's bigger than 3 by 4. I really like to make the photos the focus of my scrapbooking, but sometimes 4 by 6 is just too big. So in this case, I started off with the lovely paper called Focusing on the Good. As soon as I saw it when I was opening up my box of goodies, I just gasped at how gorgeous this paper is. It's got the type sentiments all the way across, and then it has those punches of rose gold. And this whole collection has a whole bunch of rose gold. Right there, briefly, I showed you the back of my chipboard. I put washi because the chipboard is punched so that the backing paper is slightly punched, and I didn't want them to fall out. So here you've been seeing me pick out some ephemera, and those circles there that are from the 4 by 6 clear stickers, they look like little watercolor dots, and then they have words on top. And those are what are going to inspire the design on this page. The other thing that you see here is, besides some of the stickers I'm picking out in the chipboard, things that fit me, my personality, is I'm also using a piece of vellum right now just to make things stand out. The vellum is only there as like a placeholder because I'm actually going to be doing some mixed media on here. That me down below, I cut out using, and there you can see one above as well, in two sizes. I used one of my favorite fonts from the Silhouette store. It is called Miss Elizabeth. And I cut it out from a scrap paper there, and I will be cutting out later from one of the papers. This paper here with it's very similar, the aqua paper with the dots from the collection. But right now it's just a placeholder one. My original idea was to have the photo with a cluster of stuff around it and sort of off to the side, and then a little cluster above. That's why I'm putting those feathers up there. But as you can see here, I'm about to change that up. So I've got this acrylic paint, and it was going to be too stark. So the I Am collection is an off-white base for the most part, and including this paper. So what I did was I mixed some Ali Edwards Cascade White paint with the Making Memories in Manila. I've had that Making Memories paint probably since 2005, and it's still not dried up. So I mixed them up, and I am just sponging it on the paper here with a makeup sponge. I wanted something where I didn't really want streaks, and I wanted a translucence to it. I wanted all this writing to still show up behind the area that I'm going to embellish. And I had switched to deciding that I'm going to put the photo in the middle and have all the embellishments sort of exploding out from the middle. I did not thin out the paint at this point because I did not want to add too much moisture to this paper. And I will end up doing some more mixed media. I generally let things dry naturally. I did use a little bit of a heat gun here in a little while. I mean, you don't see it because I didn't film that part. But I find that if I use a heat gun, everything turns a little yellow, and I do not want that to happen. Also, when you use a heat gun, it tends to warp the paper. So I did let this layer dry naturally, and here I have, it's part of a cut file. It's a free cut file from Paper Issues called Stitching Heartburst. In the Silhouette, I deleted the hearts and I just had it cut the stitch marks. My paper was a little off because I used the Cricut mats and I accidentally forgot to trim down the Cricut mat that I used for this one. That is something that you have to do when you use the Cricut mats, but I love using those much more than the Silhouette mats, so I've switched to that. I just got to remember to trim them all before I put them in. Anyways, it wasn't a big deal for this because I'm just using this as a template, and I'm gonna fast forward here because I'm not gonna have you watch me. I put dots that I could connect later. So here I am. I just got one of those Gorilla Pods for my phone, so I can put my phone over here while I'm stitching. And I made a great discovery. All right, so you know how We Are Memory Keepers came out with the Stitch Happy machine. I have not heard anything good about that machine. And I had no interest in buying the machine because I have a full-size machine. This one, my Viking, is 20 years old and it served me really well. I'm a quilter, so I don't need another machine, especially one that I've heard really bad things about. However, I was curious if I could use the quote unquote twine that comes with that line. And I say quote unquote because it's not like your regular baker's twine. It is regular, it's thread and it's much thicker than our normal thread, but it's more tightly wound than twine. Anyways, so here I am using this exact product. So I will be cutting back here to the finished stitching, and I'm showing you here how thick that thread is. That's from the Stitch Happy line from We Are Memory Keepers. Now I have here a spool. This white spool is what normal thread is, and that bundle of floss is also very similar in weight to normal thread. Normal thread for stitching is 50 weight, sometimes 40, but 50. This gray one is what I actually prefer to use. It's 12 weight. It's made by Sulky. And I know it's really hard to tell here, so I'm going to have to do a video. I will do another video with a better comparison, but trust me, the 12 weight is thicker than normal thread, which is 50, and 50 weight is also similar to the embroidery floss. That's why I usually double it up when you're hand stitching. This Stitch Happy thread instead is even thicker than the 12 weight. So I'm going to guess it's similar to maybe like an 8 weight. It's much thicker. And the trick to using it on any machine, you do not need to get the We Are Memory Keepers machine, is you get these needles. They are 18. I use the 18. They come in a pack where it has 18 size and 21 size needles. Those fit in any machine, and that's all you need to use their quote unquote twine. So I'm looking forward to using, I bought one that's variegated. So I want to see how that comes out too. All right. And like I said, I will make another video at some point comparing all these so you can see much better. Then I used the same two acrylic paints, the Manila Making Memories and the Ali Edwards Cascade, mixed them up. I did water them down, and I'm doing some nice big splotches. I use a really big round brush, and I try to go up and down because when I tap sideways, I get little streaks instead of nice big circles. So there, I fast forwarded from I let it dry naturally mostly. And like I said, I held up my hot glue gun, not hot glue gun, my heating gun really up high just to kind of warm up the air around it, but I didn't really blast it with the heat. And here I mixed up the paints to make the colors similar to those little clear stickers with the watercolor effect. I did it with the what's called the packaging technique, and I used some of that white Cascade paint, and I mixed it for the green. It was the October Afternoon Sprinklers in Witch's Brew color. The yellow, I mixed up two yellows, the Studio Calco Sunny Day and some of the October Afternoon Sprinklers in Jack-o'-lantern color to make it kind of like a orangey yellow. The blue aqua one is Ali Edwards in Columbia, and then the pink was Studio Calico in Blush Crush. And all of them, like I said, I mixed a little bit with the white Cascade paint and thinned it down a little bit, and then I used the packaging technique to smoosh it down. Now I have been just selecting things that, resonate with me. We got the mason jar. I love mason jars. And the cute little typewriter. I have a blue typewriter. I've come to love feathers, which wasn't really a thing for me before, but I don't know. I really like them. And that globe was just absolutely perfect. It has the rose gold sentiment. I am on a journey. I love travel. So these are things that resonate with me, and I'm just kind of putting them out as I stitched. The stitch bursts out from the middle, and all the embellishments swirl around like, all the thoughts swirling around in my head. Now these pom-poms, you've seen me pull out some pom-poms before. These are, I think they're from Martha Stewart from a long, long time ago. I probably bought them 10 years ago, 8, 9, 10 years ago from Michael's or Joann's. And I have them in several colors. They're like these pom-poms strung on wire. And I did have another pom-pom here that I'm going to sort of briefly compare to see if I like it, but I will settle on those blue pom-poms. The matting for the photos come from the 6x8 pad. I really loving that Simple Stories has come out with 6x8 pads. The scale on these is great. It's smaller scale than the 12x12 papers. Works really well for matting, especially because you only show a little bit around. And when I say matting, I mean layering, because see here, I cut the yellow a little bigger than the off-white and polka dot, black polka dot. And that sort of gives you that old school matting effect, which is not what I want. So I've come to learn that I should just trim my layers just either a little bit bigger than the photo or at the same size of the photo, and then just sort of offset them. I really like offsetting them, especially like in a fan pattern, which I will change it to in a second here, to get sort of layers without feeling like the really old matting we used to do, right? Which looks so outdated now, where it's like one size and then the next mat is bigger and then the next mat's bigger. I don't like that at all. So here I am trimming it even more, because really all I want is a sliver showing, which feels like a shame to me because you want to see the pattern, but I don't know, it just looks much better with less. So there I fanned it out, which is something that I've been doing a lot lately when I do layers behind my photos. And, I wasn't too concerned about having everything symmetric or centered, but I did pull out the ruler just to see. And I love all the hearts, so I was picking out tons of hearts to put on this layout. Hearts are one of my things. And this line comes with some with rose gold, so I knew I wanted those in there, and that's what I'm putting here right now. And it came with one with stripes and one with a buffalo plaid, which I knew I really wanted those. So I'm just shifting things around. I wanted those hearts to sort of help make the sentiments into clusters, so that's what I was doing there. I've been using score tape a lot recently. I haven't been happy with any of the roller tape that I've been using. So once I have something decided for sure, I've been using score tape. I've been really happy with that. And you'll see me here put more hearts, but I also probably switch out hearts. I was using these clear ones and they just don't show up much. So it was great for those sentiments, the watercolor sentiments. I like that effect, but the hearts weren't showing up when I used the clear ones. So here I'm switching things around. And I felt that there was too much space there with the I am. So the I am comes in several sizes and the different sticker sheets, and I had thought to use this one, which comes from the clear stickers. And you can see that it is clear. You can only see the rose gold I am portion. but you'll see in a second I'll be changing that. This sticker here comes from the 4x6 sticker sheets. There's some squares, and I believe those are great for planners, but I did not want something square. Nothing else was square on the layout, so I just punched it out. That's a 1-inch punch. It works out really good. And here I am switching out parts, trying to decide. I also thought, well, maybe since I have some green splatters, I'll put the green sticker there, and the yellow splatters, I'll put a yellow sticker there. I didn't stick with that sort of quote-unquote rule, but I did that with a few areas. More stickers, more hearts. I wanted them to show up. So here you saw that I had yellow, that pom-pom in yellow too. Just wondering if that would work better. While I was trying to decide on the pom-poms, I went ahead with one of the ideas I had coming into this layout was to stitch around the me. I wanted it to stand out more, and I just love stitching. That's part of what makes me. So I'm going to fast forward here so you don't have to see it all. I'm just come back, and here it is stitched up. So here I decided for sure I'm going to change out the I am from the stickers to the ones that came in the ephemera pack. They are bigger, the letters are bigger, and they do have a white border. The stitching around the me is also white, and so is, well, the stitched lines as well. So that gives it contrast against all the off-whiteness, and it doesn't make the title with the I am, doesn't make it look weird. So you saw I brought in a white pom-poms. They were too much, so I stuck with the blue, and they are on a wire. And I used my tiny attacher in the middle of a layout for the first time. I found a video showing exactly how to open up the tiny attacher properly, and I went for it. Just have to put either I used like a mouse pad in the back or something else that it'll absorb, let the stitch go into, and it worked really well. I like that I could use the tiny staples because they're so dainty. They go really well with anything on a scrapbook layout. And I had to be careful not to punch too hard. And then I used a bone folder there. I have a really nice bone folder that I could fold the tines in the back. And then I stuck some washi over to cover up the tines. Then I decided that area on the left, there are some parts where it was still too translucent, and I wanted to add a little bit more paint to. So here I'm sponging just a little bit more on, not a huge amount, but just a tiny bit more where the colored paint is, just to give it a little bit more opaqueness, make the embellishments stand out a little more. And that sponging it on, it dries up really fast. I didn't even have to, see there, I tested it. I didn't even have to wait. There, now I feel that sticker could show up a little bit more. Put the hearts back, and I was trying to figure out how to fill in the space between the eye and the other things. I settled on another heart. I actually wanted to use the 3 hearts that are black and white. That's one of the things I love about this line is the colorful and the kind of girly, flowery rose gold. It's offset with this nice black, and it is more cream and black. There's some white and black, and some cream and black, and it just, that elevates the line, I think. I love the little phrase stickers. It's one of my favorite things from Simple Stories, so I knew I wanted to use some here. That one that I put over the mason jar, I liked the sentiment, but it was just too long. I couldn't make it work. And then I was trying to put one around the typewriter, and I just didn't know where to put it exactly. Here I'm putting one next to that plaid heart, but then it was too symmetric with the other heart on the other side. That felt kind of weird. So just moving things around, and briefly considered a heart around the me as well. It wasn't doing it for me. So moving hearts around a little bit more. There comes a point where I want to add more stuff, but it feels wrong. And I guess that's just something that you have to feel for any particular layout, right? But I do go around changing them to stand out a little more in areas where I felt like they didn't stand out. And I pat it down. Here I'm just going to show you, you can see the shimmer of the rose gold, hopefully. Here are the still shots. If you haven't checked it out, go to the Simple Stories blog. You can see the write-up for this layout. Also links to all the different products I used. Thank you for stopping by. If you like what you see, please subscribe. Also visit me on Instagram. I post a lot more on Instagram, and I've also added things to my Pinterest, my own layouts. So thanks for coming by, and I'll see you here next time.